Consciously started recording. Okay. So I suggest you close your eyes and think of a certain part of your being that you identify with and do this exercise of zooming in. So zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and try and visualize yourself as this energy field. And you are this field of energy that is present everywhere. It's omnipresent. And in the Indic tradition, this energy is also omniscient, which means it is self-aware. So if it is everything, it is automatically aware of everything. And it is also unconditioned by anything. It is. It is everywhere. And right now you are everywhere. And you are unconditioned in your being. Because you are the entire universe. Now just focus your attention on your emotion and see what you would feel like. To be everything, to know everything. What emotion would you experience? What emotions would you experience? Come back, come back, stop the exercise.
I'm kind of responsible.
Okay, responsible. What else?
Uh,
What else would you feel if you're everything?
Extremely happy. Means I'm the owner of everything.
Exactly, exactly. So you see that when you identify. So right now, why do we not feel it? Why are we in suffering? Why do we suffer right now? Why are if I asked you, do you have the same quantum of happiness, extreme happiness right now?
No, means
No.
we feel
Why?
restricted.
We feel restricted, right? So why do we feel restricted? Why do we feel have those restrictions? Because of who we identify ourselves with. So what Indian psychology tells us is they talk of the spectrum of consciousness. In that spectrum of consciousness, we are our gross reality, or rather, we have a gross reality. But are we our gross reality? No. We can we can connect with it, we can become it for serving certain purposes, but we are not bound by that gross reality. Who are we? If we have a body, we have emotions, we have a mind, we have. So if you keep pushing back into the subtler dimensions of your being, you will arrive at the understanding that I am this energy self. And that's why you have declarations in the Upanishads which say Aham Brahmasmi. What is Brahma? It's not that Godhead. Brahma comes from the root Brah in Sanskrit. Brah means infinite expansion. So when one can, through a certain technique and knowledge, arrive at a level of our reality, very consciously that I am this infinite self, conscious infinite self, the natural consequence of that will be bliss. Because there is no restriction. So conversely, the extent of happiness we experience spontaneously in our lives is directly proportionate to how constricted we are feeling in our existential space. Does that make sense, Arun?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? So the question is, why do we identify with what we are identifying? And do we have a faculty, do we have the possibility of freeing ourselves from the what do you say, the freeing ourselves from that, from the dependence on that. Nobody thinks. So when we talk to sannyasa, you have the time, no? I'm like in a flow right now. So if you have the
Yes,
time,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No class right now.
okay, okay, okay. So the thing is this, that if what does this yoga psychology tells us? It tells us that first and foremost, so the input output story, right? So first and foremost, the input. What is the input? The inputs are given by the senses. What is the attraction of the senses? The attraction of the senses are the objects of senses. What are the senses attracted to? The objects, right? Now if I believe, so if I have the absence of being, if I have not invested in being, and I've only invested in having. Why having? Because I think I'm Anuradha Chaudhary and I think I need to have a better position in life. I think I need to have a car. I think I need to have a house to feel that Anuradha Chaudhary is greater in herself. Get it? That can be one development of my identity. Understand? So if Anuradha Chaudhary is outsourcing her identity to the car or the house or the position she holds or the relationship she has, then I will be dependent on each of this. So if I get a smaller car, I think if I have a bigger car, I will be more Anuradha Chaudhary than the small car is. If I have a bigger house, I will feel, yeah, that's really more, I'm a bigger person. But just if you understand the notion of the spectrum of consciousness, this whole worldview is flipped on its head. Why? Because if I depend on the car to determine who I am, I will be like the rat that is chasing after that little car. And there's no end to it. How big a car is required to make me really feel that, yes, now I'm content in who I am?
Yes,
If I
ma'am.
if I am looking for the bigness, if what and that is what we are striving for. We are all striving for becoming greater than who we are. That quest is real. But which direction do we need to search in? Do we need to invest in having more? Or do we need to invest in becoming better, becoming greater? So if we invest in becoming greater, first and foremost, it that alignment of the self, because to become greater than oneself, one cannot do it when one is a tube light with a mind that is muddled and emotions that are muddled and the physical being that is in a mess. It is not possible. To become greater than oneself, one has to start asking the questions of who really do I want to be? Why? That, and then once I have, okay, supposing I decide this is what I want to be. I want to, why do I seek to have a better position and all? Because I think that I will, in a sense, be more powerful, or I will be more powerful probably. So if I understand that by training my own self, when I have greater degrees of alignment, if I say that is something that I want, and I have trained myself to be in alignment, which means that if I think something, I'm saying that and I'm achieving that, then one is, in a sense, the most powerful because whatever you decide to do, you're going to achieve. I am not dependent on trying to lick somebody's boot or try to cut short corners to get it. Because I know, I have the confidence that if my mind and my speech and my actions are aligned, and those were the main outputs, the thought, the speech, and the actions. If these three are in alignment, then that individual is practically unstoppable. Because what that person has decided, that person becomes like a laser to achieve what one wants to do. And when that starts happening, then one is not, it's not that, so when I'm talking of this, I'm not talking of letting go. So the word vairagya is not about letting go of things. The word vairagya is about how do you connect with things, how do you have objects, but don't let the objects get control of you. So when we, let's say, have a tasty ice cream, most often the tongue takes control. So I desired the next ice cream. So the ice cream is in charge. But if I can have an ice cream and I know that the ice cream was good, but if I don't have an ice cream, that doesn't make me any less. You get it? It's a different way. It's a different way of engaging with the world where you realize that everything is important. One, and you will become even more effective in life. Because if I don't get something, I will not be discouraged in myself for not having achieved it. Because my goal is clear, and I know that if I've set my eyes on it, I will learn from the experiences that have been failures in order to push forward till I reach what I want to reach. It's a tremendous 180-degree turn, actually. This outsourcing of ourselves. If you're outsourcing in having versus outsourcing in insourcing in being. Is that
Yes,
making
ma'am.
sense?
Yes, ma'am.
And therefore,
Yes.
don't think Indian psychology or yoga psychology by no way is world denying. It is, in fact, world enhancing because the more one is empowered, the more one can achieve whatever one sets one's mind to achieve. But the steps are simple. The steps are about watching the details of who we are. How do we talk? What do we think? How do we talk? How do we walk? Why do we do what we do? And can one start doing
Yes,
what one
ma'am.
chooses to do rather than one is compelled to do? How does that happen? Get it? Then the world can throw what it wants our way, but we get so, and that's why last I'm like I said, I'm sorry, I'm in this flow now. The last thing is that, and therefore, in the spiritual traditions across the world, they use the lotus as a symbol because that flower grows in the muck, but it is not shaded by the muck it grows in. Secondly, the lotus petal, it will allow water. A lot of water can fall on it, but it will not be affected by the drop of water. So if you remember this symbol of the lotus and the lotus flower and the lotus leaf, that is, I would say, the summary of yoga psychology. But it is work. It's a lot of hard work. Knowing oneself, working on oneself. It's a lot of hard work, but it's an investment which will reap infinite returns and very, very literally. Very, very literally. Infinite returns.
Yes, ma'am. Get it now.
Got it. Made sense.
Yes, ma'am. But it's too tough to achieve right now.
Okay. It's a very valid question what you're saying. I mean, it's a very valid point. The thing is that we are anyway on the journey. The journey doesn't stop because things are easy or difficult. The journey is on. The choice that is in front of each one of us at every moment is which way do we want to direct that journey. So if the destination is clear, then one has to work it backwards. And the very simple step that yoga psychology proposes, very, very simple step, and that is really not difficult to do. The very simple step is that how do we start cultivating this possibility in us? How do we do it? It's by learning to step back and observe instead of getting caught up. So if I am an angry person, can I choose to step back and watch the triggers of anger and practice not becoming angry when that circumstance is thrown at me? If I am getting certain external pressures, can I step back and make a different choice? And I had to gloss over the whole karma, samskara, vasanas part. But if you have the time, I'll tell it because it will be there on the recording and people will have access to it in any case. Okay. So if you have, if you bear with me some more, I'll complete this. So
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
what it says is this, that let's say the ice cream. Okay, when there is an ice cream, if you walk into an ice cream shop, there are different flavors. Which flavor do you like if you like an ice cream?
Mango.
Mango. Okay, so you like the mango. You choose the mango flavor. Now you take the mango. You take the mango ice cream. The brain records it in two signals. I like it. I don't like it. That's generally how it records reality around it. Why? For survival instincts. If I like it, I can do more of it without any danger. If I don't like it, I have to avoid it. Very simple binary registering in the brain. Okay, we're very reptilian in our brain in that sense. Now, what happens? So, I go, I have done a karma. What is the karma? What is the action? I have chosen the ice cream that I like. Okay, I've chosen the mango ice cream. The the next step is the impression that that ice cream has created on my mind. I like it. What happens when you walk into the next ice cream store? Which flavor will you take?
The same flavor which
Same
caused
flavor.
me to like it.
Perfect. Huh? So what has happened now? You did an action. That action caused an impression in your mind. That impression generated a tendency, which led to the next action. Sequence understood? So the
Yes, ma'am.
first action in Sanskrit is known as karma. But the moment I have taken this action, if I am not a, if I am a creature of habits, then this action has already determined the next action, which is choosing the mango ice cream again, right? So this action is also the result of its action. So the term karma is used in both senses of the action and the fruit of action, because under normal circumstances, because of being creatures of habits, it is embedded already. Got it? That's why the same word is used for action and the fruit of action. So when I perform a certain action, that action leaves a samskara, an imprint, an impression. That impression generates new tendencies. That tendency is what will lead to the next action. So that tendency is known as vasana. What do I desire? So an action leaves an imprint which creates a certain desire or a tendency which leads to the next action. Now, if I am a creature of habits, this is a circular thing, and we continue in the same patterns. But the moment I start waking up a little bit, I will say, okay, I've done this action, and I start observing what is the impression of what it is creating on me. So when I'm in the new environment, or when I'm in the same environment, will I just repeat that? I will have a tendency. I will have a tendency to get angry. But will I exercise my freedom to break the chain and react differently? If I can change the vasana and create a new karma, then I start becoming the master of my karma. My becomes in my hand. If I cannot break that cycle, then I'm a victim of my karma, because I'm a victim of my past circumstances. So when we talk of karma as a concept of victimization of, or the fate, destiny determining our lives, we are talking of it taking into consideration that we are beings of our past conditionings. But what the karma theory really offers us is, what are you doing about your action now? What karma are you performing now? Because the karma you will perform now will create a new fruit. And if you start taking charge of this cycle, then you are in charge of your whole life. You will become the author of your own life. And therefore, um, become conscious. And this, what I said just now, is not a difficult thing to do. This is a very, very practical, in fact, realistic step to undertake. Otherwise, one will always be a victim of circumstance. Whether one will have a car, outsource the being, and all, those are all secondary. Those are important. Nobody is saying that to have a good life is not important. If I am ineffective in myself, I cannot help anybody else. I cannot even help myself. Forget helping anybody else. But how can I help anybody else? The Indic tradition will say, start helping yourself first. Become the Swarat to become the Samrat. And therefore, very interesting implication of this is that in Rajadharma, in the Mahabharata, they say what is the source of Rajadharma? Indriya Jaya. The control of your senses is the secret of Rajadharma. How do you become the emperor? Start controlling your senses. Because if you don't, then we see what happens to the politicians. They are forever looking for the next, how do you stay on to the next chair? And for that, they have to forever fulfill everybody else's desires. What happens as a consequence to the nation? We go down the slope. So implications, but starting from every individual's little bit of application on one side.
Yes, ma'am. So we need to start small steps and then we can go forward.
That's why that quote of Lao Tzu's is very nice. Watch your thoughts. If you can see this, can you see this? Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your
Yes,
words, they
ma'am.
become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And you see, it's a universal thing. It's not an Indic specific knowledge. But the Indian tradition has invested extensively in this branch of knowledge. Why? Because it's only if the individual has a stability and knows the potential of the individual can you create or do anything. Why did Kailashnath and all come up? Because it was anchored in greater realities than the limited potentials.
Yes, ma'am. We'll try to do it now, from now itself.
Uttama, Uttama. And keep me in the loop. Like, I'd love to know that if you're trying these experiments, what is happening? Why is it happening? Okay. I mean, in my Indian psychology class, I recommend that they keep a diary now. In fact, that's one of their assignments they have. And we have this antivirus program where you try and identify a virus, you try and work upon that virus, see what is triggering it, because virus obstructs the functioning of your system fully. So can we identify our viruses? Can we start reprogramming ourselves, basically? Okay. And it's for oneself. It's a very, very selfish investment at the end of the day. Very, very selfish investment. Jai, Jai Shri Krishna, you want to say something?
Yeah, ma'am. So, like, I have a class soon.
Please, please. The classes were everybody was allowed to leave at 10 o'clock, at 9 o'clock already. Thank you very much for staying back. Okay. Huh? Chalo tu. Have a great day and great explorations for a great future for yourselves. It's fun. Play it as a game. Don't take it so seriously. Play it as a game, and you will see how much fun life becomes. ठीक है?
Sure, ma'am.
Should we
Ma'am,
work?
and one more thing.
बोलो.
Ma'am, actually, Shruti ma'am's Ayurveda slides are still not available to us.
Oh, they're already uploaded. That's why I'm wondering why you're saying you can't see them. What See, the challenge for me is that I don't know what you are seeing. Can one of you, if you have just a few minutes, can you just show me what is it that you see on your screen? I'll stop sharing. Can you show me what are the facilities that you have? Can you start sharing and just show me what is it that you see? Like, do you see the files? Do you see the classroom content? What do you see really?
Ma'am, are you able to see?
Yeah. Can you come to files? Okay, no, can you come to the files? Okay, come to this side files. Calls के नीचे वाला files दिखाओ. Calls के नीचे वाला file दिखाओ. On the side here, yeah. Show me that. Achha, you are not seeing. These are your documents, not from other. These are from your other courses.
Other
Some.
courses and OneDrive.
Acha. Can you also go back to that general posts? Can you go back to the अभी files दिखाओ. यहाँ पे yeah, you're seeing introduction to Ayurvedic genomics. So we have to move it to the class material. Go to class material. Go to your नहीं वो नहीं files में जाओ और class materials में जाओ. Acha. So class materials is something that all of you can access. Okay. Now
Yes, ma'am.
stop and I will show you where Shruti ma'am has put up hers. Stop and I will share my screen. Okay. So if you wait, I'll just stop sharing this. Can you see my screen now? Can you see mine?
Yes, ma'am.
Achha. So if I go to files, for example, and I go to Microsoft Teams, there I can see introduction. No, I'm somehow not being able to see it. Downloads is different. Let me go back because I thought I could see her things. If I go to files, class materials.
The channel name is different.
Oh, sorry. Actually, this channel business I've still not understood very clearly. Okay, so files. It has only yoga psychology, yoga teams, Indian. Okay, you don't see all of this. Do you see all of this?
No, ma'am.
You don't see all of that. Okay. So what you see is, let me see. What you see is really this files. Accordingly, we can. Acha, this is what you also see. This is in common. You and I have this in common. For this channel,
Yes,
this is what we will see. Sanskrit and Sanskrit. So we need to really put it in the files, upload it there. It's somehow, the interface of this is not very user friendly. Like it's not very logical in the way they have done it. Recordings, very, very sweet of this boy to put this up. Really, really sweet. Okay. Okay. So we need to We'll do it. All right, give us this weekend. We'll try and upload all the content into the class materials. Okay, just give us feedback because, and we also need. Can you also remind? We need to start giving out the assignments because suddenly you will get a lot in one otherwise. So we'll start have to distributing the assignments. Will you just send a reminder on that, Arul?
Sure, ma'am.
We'll try and follow up on that. ठीक है रे. Okay, Shubham. Bye bye. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye, ma'am. Bye. Bye.
Namaste. Snigdha and Piyush. Namaste. Piyush. Piyush.
आम्
Attendance अन्ते कृतं त्वया पुनरपि.
आम्
उत्तमं. ठीक है. अस्तु. Shubham then. Shalika, are you there? Shalika, you're digitally present and physically absent. ठीक है. Snigdha, are you there? Okay. I'm ending. Piyush, can you end the meeting? Wait, I'll stop the recording.